Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Post-Conference Presser for Anfield Index. It's Lille next on the docket. There's not too much time to celebrate a victory over Brentford in the last minute, isn't there? Because Liverpool roll on and they roll on quickly. Tomorrow night, Lille under the lights at Anfield. The Champions League recommences with two group games left to go. Importantly as well, there was two people speaking, Arne Slot and Ibrahima Konate. That was the chosen player for this one. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, the pair of them. And if I could recommend one thing to you, you might not do both, but Arne Slot was absolutely brilliant as ever in this one. Ibrahima Konate, I don't know whether it's through a lack of media training, just the nature, the sort of genuine honesty of the guy. Absolute box office. Can't stress it enough. Got to watch it. An absolute star of this press conference. And Ibrahima Konate especially, he said a few things that you will see referenced tonight and tomorrow, no doubt about it at all. Your normal host, Dave Davis, coming to you from a dark and cold Edinburgh, but there is a lot to have warm hearts about, isn't there? Liverpool at the moment, absolutely flying. That's in the Premier League. In the Champions League, absolutely perfect. No two ways about it. So we'll do your normal people, just as I'm bringing up the relevant docs for you to see. We'll talk Arne Slot's Q&A. We'll talk Ibu's Q&A. Oh, just brilliant. Honestly, it really is. But we'll get into that. And we'll talk a few things about the Brentford Clues, Lille Threats, and it's important to discuss them at the same time and everything else. But just always important just to see, as I would call it, the state of play in the Champions League, because it is an absolute thing of beauty as we put it on the screen there, isn't it? Look at that, Liverpool. Perfect record. Played 6, won 6, 18 points. Now, just to set the scene a little bit, Lille are not a fashionable team by any means, but look at that. By the way, as well, to have won 4, we'll talk about who they've beaten and the threats they sort of possess. So this is no easy game. But let's get into it first of all. Arne Slot's Q&A. So the first question he was asked by Vinny O'Connor was about Thomas Frank and his compliment, saying, he said you're the best team in the world. What are your honest thoughts on that? He said his opinion definitely means something to me, as it's shown how well Brentford's done for so many years in that job without spending crazy money. His opinion means something to me, but it's far too early for me to say these things. He was asked about Liverpool being the best team in the world, and the Champions League format is so different. So we can judge that we face many teams, and you could be lucky or not lucky with the draw you have. It's always nice, though, to get compliments for a manager who's that good in the Premier League. If anyone didn't clock it, it was some nice comments, wasn't there, from Thomas Frank in that press conference where he said that we played City, Arsenal and Liverpool are a level above them too. Yes, they are. We'll leave it at that. The next question he was asked was about Darwin Núñez and how, you don't always know what you're going to get, that inconsistency. He answered this in depth, and I like the way he answered it. He said, was almost happy that you asked me about, it was sent off after 2-0, because people are saying that we were lucky and I could come up with a few decisions that went against us. We weren't lucky and we didn't get the points this season, but let's not get into that. I think it's with the most difficult thing for the team and the individual is to find consistency. And only a few players in the world are able to be at the same level every 3 days. Then there's a big group of players who play well at times, but not every time. I think he belongs in that group, and he's good many, many times, except for him. It would be nice to go into that bracket of players who are outstanding. And I know we have a few players in that bracket who are outstanding every 3 days. It's a nice challenge for him to go into that group. Like the answer, kind of mixing it in with everyone else, not just putting the load or the focus on Darwin, making sure it's clear that, there's others who are probably striving to get to a better level. And it makes you think, doesn't it? What players would you say are elite, do it every 3 days? This would be an interesting one for the chat panel, wouldn't it? Which of the players you think can, as he said, can do it again, but it's different to go into that next level of doing it every 3 days? I think we definitely got some who you just expect every game, especially like, say, with your Van Dijks, your Salahs, etc. Maybe we put too much on them, but that's just the quality they have. I think we've got quite a lot of players just in that tier below who can have a brilliant game, but it's different to do it time after time as well, isn't it? Now, let me just play you a clip from Arne Slot as well, because he was asked about, being top, sort of different pressures, what it means, the teams you've faced. So let me play the clip for you on this one.
Hi, Arne. I know it's not the most important thing to you, but having the only 100% record in the Champions League now, is that a badge of honour for you and for the team, and a motivation to keep it going until the end as well?
Yeah, definitely. Not that we've had them, but it is a motivation that we want to keep it going till the end. We want to win every single game we go out there. But it's not because of we just want to end top 8, and we know we need a point for that. But this team has never gone out playing for a point. There was just a second ago a question about what I expect from Lille. I expect something. And you guys know what you can expect from Liverpool. And that has been in every single game we've played. If we've been at Old Trafford or at Arsenal, wherever we played, we've tried to play their own style. And we've never adapted the style, sometimes in small details, but never the style of high press, of bringing the ball out from the back and to do the things we are good at. So yeah, that's what we want to try to do tomorrow again. We always play for a win. And that's also what we're going to try to do tomorrow. But we know the difficult challenge it is because of the quality and the form Lille is in.
Yeah, great answer. Don't get me wrong. Exactly what you'd expect a Liverpool head coach to say. Bullish, forthright, nature of personality. We are going to win this. This is a big game under the lights at Anfield. I think there's quite a few people that will be interested to see if you share this in the chat panel. Were you hoping for a bit of rotation? Because I think the way he's putting, he's leaning into that this is pretty much, bar a few standard slot changes, a full strength team coming your way. I mean, people might have hoped for big rest. I don't know, because he says it needs another point to secure it. And also, if you finish in the top 2, then I think you play in the playoffs, the sort of, I think it's the 15th to 18th base teams. Maybe someone can update me and correct me if that was wrong, but it is a slight advantage. So I think the reason I wanted to play you that clip is the nature there is telling me it's pretty much a full strength with standard tweaks. Liverpool coming your way tomorrow night, but we will see on that. Then he gave us an update we didn't like. There's no two ways about it. Because remember, Diogo Jota was a niggle. James Pearce asked about this one. And he said, how long will he be out for? He said, well, Jota a bit earlier than Joe, but both are expected back within weeks, not months. I said many times before, the last stage of rehab is the most difficult. It's clear we expect them back within the upcoming weeks, not months. Diogo overload, and it was followed up with another question, what is it? And he said, well, Diogo overloaded a certain muscle a bit. It's never a niggle with, Diogo Jota, isn't he? Like, if Diogo Jota sneezes, he's out for 6 weeks with a burst eardrum or something like that. It just seems to be the nature. And this is probably a topic for another day, don't get me wrong, but you just wonder all these injuries, like how much can we count on Diogo Jota? Just to be clear as I'm saying this, and before people jump on, for the rest of the season, we want him fit as often as possible. In the short term, he's an absolutely crucial player, but Diogo Jota is just repeatedly injured, and it's not a good sign that what was a niggle. And even David Lynch mentioned it on Media Matters, the briefing that, the Patch Jones had, it sounded like it was quite soon, even Ipswich as a possibility. All of a sudden, we're talking weeks, aren't we? Not a good sign there at all. Hello to all watching. Hello to Ilias there as well. just talking about that one there and Diogo Jota. And the final one I wanted to mention from Arne Slot, which I thought was a good question, was around Gravenberch and his minutes. I thought he answered this quite with a subtleness, and I thought it was quite good. He said, because he was asked about his minutes, so she'll clarify and how much we rely on him. He said, maybe we don't have someone exactly like Ryan, but it's the same for almost all of them. So Dom is unique, Mo is unique. Even Cody, I don't see him the same with Lucho. He's a different style of player. It's the same for Ryan. But we also don't forget have Maka that can play there. Endo played there against Forest for a while, and even Curtis Jones can play there. There's always a balance, though. And if we don't win all our games, people say we play them too much and we keep doing well, then everyone says it's the secret to success. I understand to make it a bit more simple, it's easy to say it this way, and that is something we have to accept. There is a lot of minutes in Ryan Gravenberch's legs, a lot of minutes. He does seem quite central to this team at the moment. Now, left back would be the one everyone would do in a heartbeat, no two ways about it. But as a few of you starting to pour in there, I think people want signings. A midfielder would be big at the same time as well. Someone who could play, so multifunctional, cover Gravenberch. I do think that would be helpful. Absolutely minimal to no chance I think we're getting it. So it's wishful thinking, but there you go. And interesting that the comments are coming in around Jota. Said Stongs 4K then says relapse proves how important full recovery is. Yeah, he seems to have quite a few of them, doesn't he? Goal ratio there is it top for goal ratio in the team, living up to his name there, but also top for injuries at the same time. I think that's just the thing with Diogo Jota, isn't it? Like a small niggle can turn into long-term leprosy with Diogo Jota. That is just what we're seeing at the moment. So, yeah, we could just do with him back. But at the same time, there's only him and Gomez injured, which is far better than we're used to, in all honesty. But we'll see how quickly we get them back. There you go. Absolutely brilliant as ever, Arne Slot. However, the star of the show, ladies and gents, Ibu Konate. If you get the chance, just the 7 or 8 minutes that Ibu Konate had on that stage is absolutely brilliant. I'm probably not going to do it justice. I really would strongly recommend you watch this. I was even, this is weird, going, go on, Ibu, as like he was saying stuff. So thinking, why are you bigging this up, Dave, type of thing. Let's just have a listen at a small snippet of what Ibu Konate said.
For yourselves as well, it was the first clean sheet in the games that you've been involved in since you returned from injury. How did it feel to get that clean sheet, and how do you feel now? Do you feel that you're at full match sharpness, or is there a bit of a way to go still?
No, for me especially, because I'm a defender, and for every defender of this team, it's very important for us to have a clean sheet, and we have done this, and I hope this will keep going. And I try to come back really 100%, but I'm not, because I rush my comeback with my knee. But I've done this for my team, and I can die for this team, then it's fine. And my knee will come back really 100% very soon. It's fine.
Does that mean you're still having the audition?
I still have pain sometimes, but I play with painkiller, and it's enough for me to.
As it says on the screen there, Ibu's character is coming through this season. How can you not love that man? I would die for this team. Absolute colossus, a character. Like, you actually almost, just the way he did this whole press conference, almost as though he sort of got a media training book and just threw it out the window and was just sort of honest himself. And I think we've seen that the last few games, haven't we? He's not quite been himself. It just felt like Brentford was Ibu getting back to top Ibu levels, no doubt about it at all. And a fair comment there from Song for K. Confident in himself, he's relaxed, he's ambitious. He was brilliant in this one. And he talked about it, about his teammates, how important it was, like what the focus is. He's even said in previous interviews about how one of his aims is to help Mo Salah get the Ballon d'Or. if you don't or can't love Ibu, jog on. This is not the place for you at all. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Now, the one bit that will get a lot of chatter is the contract. So let me just read what he said about the contract. He's asked about, your contract situation. He said, who talked about that a few months ago? One person said that. I didn't know. I spoke with the club after that. I am really focused. I've been offered a deal. Yes. Close to signing it? That's another conversation. Now, I've seen the way people have put these comments as though, like, oh my God, you can do that if you want. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. He's not going to discuss his contract in this setting, isn't he? That's not going to happen. It's a preview for a Champions League game. You're not going to get an in-depth answer for him. Like you get no in-depth answer from Arne Slot on contracts either at all. And it's funny, isn't it, the way he says the one person. Anyone else think he could be referring to Tapin Romano? Might be wrong, but that was the one I sort of saw that, saying as though, how's he got that a little bit? I thought that was quite funny. He's been offered a new deal. That is great news to hear. That is positive. Not signing it yet, that's a different conversation. People are going to jump on that, and I get it. But if you're Ibu, you probably wait, don't you? Let's be honest. Let's be deadly 100% honest. Focus on this season. As he said, I'd die for this team. He's going to give us everything to try and win a Champions League game. But, and it's a big but, you're waiting to see what your other three teammates are doing. Are they staying? Are they going? That will come into his thinking, you've no doubt. You're also waiting to see if they do renew, what deal are they renewing on? Because if their wages go up, I'm not saying Ibu's going to be in the bracket as the elite three, but the baseline moves at the same time, doesn't it, in that regard? So, yeah, I understand completely why Ibu would be waiting. I suspect there's a lot of players at Liverpool sort of waited, if not, how things will work, who signs, who doesn't, etc. So I'm not making a bigger deal of that. Listen, we've talked about contracts to death, and I know this will cause a latest furore. Let's just see what unfolds with this one. And the other question Ibu answered was around VVD and his partnership, and whether, and I like the bullishness of this, whether he thinks it's the best in the league and the best in Europe. He said, this season, I think so. For sure, everyone knows Virgil, and for me, he's the best one. No one is better than him in this position. I learn a lot from him, and also I've learned a lot from, I like this, Matip and from Joe Gomez. I've never said to him directly, but I said in an interview, I just want to be better than him one day. It's quite clear Ibrahima Konate is playing with his idol, isn't he? So the ultimate, of course it is, Van Dijk, the ultimate aspirational centre-half to look up to. If you can't learn anything from Van Dijk as a defender, you're done for, aren't you? But I also liked that he's had that experience with different characters like Matip, someone like Gomez who can play multiple positions at the same time as well. So honestly, if you do nothing else for 7 or 8 minutes, we'll not go into that, then this is an interview to watch. Just the bit of Ibu where he comes in. Almost like I said, there's almost an element of honesty, genuineness. It was refreshing in one way. No sort of formal media training. I can't stress to you enough. It is well worth a watch. And yeah, good word there, as goal ratio says, a humble nature to him. So that was the press conference, ladies and gents. And if we go back to Brentford there, I mean, I'm still buzzing from it because we always talk about what are the clues, the lessons that we learned from this. I think there's a few from Arne Slot there. Use the subs. Trust a few more players. It's quite clear that at times you don't or haven't previously fully trusted the Harvey Elliott's, fully trusted the Federico Chiesas, Endos. You could go through a few, don't get me wrong. I think they earned a little bit in this one. Harvey Elliott, trust him, give him some minutes. You can't just burn out the same players all the time. So that's a big one from him. Couple from us as fans. I tell you what, Arne Slot's got that late Klopp style power now of winning it late. it always used to be one thing that we wondered, that we could almost batter teams down. But at 90 minutes, journalists were writing that sort of story, weren't they? Like another Liverpool domination, record shots, but can't score, can't get the late winners, until Darwin Núñez, Trent Alexander-Arnold and others decided, fuck that, and absolutely changed the script. But you saw his reaction on the sideline as well. An Arne Slot team goes right to the end and can win it super late. I think that is great that we've got that, and he's got that in his locker now. If anyone's thinking that's too much, hold on. He mentioned this in the last press conference. He talked about it'd be nice to sort of, change that story, get some, late winners in that one. So that is absolutely massive. And one of my lessons from that. And Ibu's back. Not quite 100%, but very close. And he talked in this press conference, didn't he, about the knee and the way he's been paying. Another 5% got added to his fitness. We saw it in this one, no two ways about it. That the first few games back, he looked a little bit tired, didn't he? And, we questioned his fit. United, he looked 70, 80%, or you maybe say. But now he is back on it and ready to go. And what an absolute warrior, as he said, paying through the pain, taking painkillers to play for us. So honestly, there was 1,000,001 things to like from Brentford. There really was. This one, though, in just over 24 hours, Lille. And people will be going, who? But let's just get some tables up and be crystal clear on this. Lille have got 13 points. They've won 4, drawn 1, lost 1 in the Champions League. They've beaten Real Madrid. They've beaten Atletico Madrid. Yeah, this is a good side in the Champions League. They are 21 unbeaten in all competitions. I don't know if anyone's clocked that, so I think of it sort of going viral today. This will not be an easy game at all. Look at that. They're in the top 8 in Europe. Anyone thinking like, oh, Lille push over, anything like that? Really, really tough game. At the same time, in the French league, they don't score loads. They only got 28, but they don't ship many either. If you look, and PSG are a freak. They're an outlier, aren't they? They're financially sort of prodigy, aren't they? Smacked my bitch up off their like FFP tits, aren't they? Really, but to have the same goals conceded as them is absolutely massive for a team. And we all know Jonathan David, not personally, but that's a player on a free. You think he's going to be wanting to, well, he is going to be wanting to put himself in the shot window if he's not already, isn't he? This is no pushover at all. Do not be thinking easy game. And I know people, which will get to line up scorer and scorer, talking about heavy rotation. I don't think you're going to see it. I've got to be completely honest. Slot even talks in this press conference, as I told you, about how impressed he is by Lille, saying they deserved every point, to quote him in this one. I think you're pretty much going to see a largely full-strength lineup, bar standard rotation. And we know he rotates 2, maybe 3 max every game. So I think to make sure we get top 2, and as he mentioned, whether people like it or not. And by the way, as I'm saying this, I would like to see more rotation going in. Look at them, they're flying in. LFC Mad wants Salah, Núñez, Diaz. LFC Mad also wants Bradley Konate, VVD, Rock. Look at that, the teams are flying in. Here's what I think it is going to be. It's Alisson in goal, Trent right back, Robbo, I think, will come in for Tsimikas at left back. In the middle, I do think it will be VVD, Konate. I wouldn't mind seeing, now I know about the pain, Konate getting rotated off for Kwanzaa or whoever at some point. Just being honest on that. In the middle, the second change comes to me. I think it's Grav, Mac, Curtis Jones, I think, starts this one. I think it's one of those good games. And if everyone's going, oh, Curtis Jones, but a boss like Curtis Jones has had some sensational games in Europe. Let's be crystal clear on that. He was brilliant, magnificent, really, against Leverkusen. He was excellent against Real Madrid and more than matched the likes of Camavinga, Modric, and players like that. So I've no issue at all we're seeing Curtis Jones on this. The other thing to say about Curtis Jones is, why is everyone losing their shit about something he said in that thing with Rio Ferdinand? He says it quite clearly that he thinks as a technical player, Hazard's got better traits than Salah, and he names them, but also that Salah gets the goals and assists, and that's why he picked him. Why are people like absolutely losing their shit over this? We've got bigger things to worry about than that. So all this hassle that Curtis Jones has got, drop it. We've got trophies to win. We've got contracts to sort. Never mind getting involved with the old Salah Hazard nonsense that just comes up. Like, he's got an opinion. He's entitled to it. And then, do you know what? If I can see people jumping on me in the comments, the same people will be saying, oh, players aren't honest. They don't show their opinions. But then you batter players when they do. So that's why they get media training. And that's why they give robotic answers. Unless you want the genuine honesty like you get from Ibu and other players. It's absolutely the best way to go. So, yeah, let's drop any Curtis Jones stuff. Anyway, I digress. Back to the forward line. Salah, because it's Champions League and he'll want the stats, and Salah plays every game. There's that. I think Luis Diaz will start on the left. I do. I just think Gakpo seems to have played every minute all the time recently. I know Diaz has been false nine, but I think some minutes for Diaz on his left would be good. And I'd like Darwin Núñez to start in this. Said it before on a few pods. For me, Darwin Núñez is a streaky player. That is my honest take on it. Why he's hot? Ride it. Okay? That's my lineup there. And a few comments I can see. Goal ratio saying, can't believe we're not rotating. If Slot doesn't rotate for this game, then when? As I said, I would probably do a bit more rotation. I'm just telling you that I expect Slot, by the way he spoke in this press conference, the way he's talked about it, what we've seen in training, I'm not expecting the huge rotation that a lot of people want. And I know there'll be some going, I'd like an FA Cup style team. I get it. I'm just not expecting it. This is also an interesting one. Yeah, Robbo and Diaz always start together on the left. LFC mad. That's a fair shout. I hadn't really thought about that, but that could well go into it. It is an interesting one in the sense of it's not quite that condom that you were hopeful in your wallet from 1992 that sits there. This is not quite a dead rubber just yet, is it? Let's be completely honest. If Liverpool get a point, they're pretty much, I think it's mathematically guaranteed, isn't it? At the same time, if you finish in the top two, a few accounts have pointed this out on Twitter. I think you get a better draw, don't you? As in, like, it's the 15th to 18th. And if you look at who's there at the moment, there's no guarantee who finishes where. I get that. But the likes of a Sporting Monaco, you'd far rather face them than one of the big boys. So there's also, as Arne Slot talked about, the prestige. So whether you agree with me or not, I'm expecting a strong lineup that way. So in case you missed it, because the chats were flying in, I was losing track myself. For me, this is what I think he'll pick. Alisson, Trent, Robbo, VVD Konate, Grav Mac, Jones as the 10, Diaz left, Núñez in the middle, Salah on the right. Okay? You might like, I would like a little bit more rotation. I am not expecting it. Listen, and as I'm saying this, ladies and gents, I am absolutely more than happy to be proved wrong. More than happy with a few rested. For me, you'd always say, for Arne Slot, let me clear. He always says, it's the next game. I've already got half an eye towards Ipswich. Do you know what I mean? Like, probably like a lot of you. And I get you'd want rotation. I'm just not expecting it. So we'll see what it brings. The final thing to tell you, my predicted lineup. Now I've given you that. My score and scorers, those are the two I've not given you. 3-1. 3-1, Mo Salah to get back on the goal trail. The only hope I've got is if we're going to play a strong team, win and no injuries. That's what it's all about. That's the thing you don't want to get in a game like this. You would be a little bit disappointed, wouldn't you? Like the Real Madrid, the one, and Konate got, you thought, do we need it in that? LFC Man thinks it'll be 3-0. He also thinks Nunez, Diaz, and Jones is a bit of variety, but I think ultimately for me, Mo Salah back on the score sheet would just be a bit of a boost for him. Not that he's not, probably needs the confidence, but he likes his goals and his records, Bo. So there we are. In over 24 hours, we will be playing Lille. Not many injuries, that's the good news. Bad news, Diogo Jota's niggle. As standard, Jota takes a little bit longer. The brilliant news, watch Ibrahima Konate's segment in this press conference. It was absolutely sensational if you've not. But there we are. On Monday, the 20th of January, that was another post-conference presser.